before you write any single words in your dissertation or start to coin your research questions, collecting data, or conduct research design in general, you need to think about the main engine and the foundation of your dissertation. I am talking with you today about what we call conceptual framework. This is one of the concepts that many PhD students is overlooking or are overlooking, and then they don't really consider it as the foundation of their dissertation. Um, Conceptual framework usually it is something to do in chapter 2, and if you got it right, everything will go smoothly. Your research questions will be harmonized with research design, will be in agreement with data collection and data analysis in a way that you put some significant contribution in the body of knowledge by the end of your dissertation. If you fail to coin or design it in the beginning, so you will have a problem to harmonize all of your dissertation together, and it will be definitely a point to be judged or asked by the end of your dissertation. So let's go through the definition of conceptual framework. Conceptual framework is an analytical approach where you identify the concept that are impacting the phenomenon you are studying. So if you study, for example, a student's engagement in schools, so there is many concepts are related. For instance, autonomy, relatedness, sort of teaching styles, all of these stuff are connected. So you need to find out what kind of concept or constructs, variables are really important to interpret or explain your phenomenon you are going to do or to investigate. So making relationship and connection and link all of relevant variables and concept construct in your dissertation in a meaningful way that could explain much better the phenomenon you are studying. This is what we call conceptual framework. So this is number one. Let's see what kind of structure, or for example, how to coin conceptual framework. Conceptual framework, in fact, consists of three levels or three phases. First of all, the variables or constructs. The main construct or variable impacting your phenomenon. For example, if you are investigating, for example, a transformational leadership, so you need to keep in mind, for instance, sort of leadership style, or for instance, policy or cultural perspectives or whatever, in a way that it could impact and shaping leadership practices in your organization. So these kind of construct you need to identify. Number two is you need to find what we call the belief you are adopting in a way to connect these constructs together. And in research we have sort of different school of philosophy where you can believe that the reality is one, or reality is varied or different between person and other person. So you need to identify what kind of philosophy or research ontology you have it, positivism, interpretivism, and so on. So you need here to be clear which direction you adopt, which approach you are going to handle. And then number three is a relationship. So we have the concept, we have the belief, and then relationship between these kind of construct. So it is very important to shape a relationship between these construct in a meaningful way that you can predict somehow the phenomenon or the variables that may impact direct way or indirect way with your phenomenon. Give me an instance. For instance, if I'm speaking about completion of PhD project. So you can start from the beginning. Socio-economic levels might predict the ability to joining PhD programs. In a way, when you join PhD programs, you are able by the end to have your PhD completed. So I have socio-economic is an indicator to predict somehow joining to PhD's program. In a way, joining PhD program can be an indicator to predict finalizing or the completion of your PhD dissertation. So this kind of shaping or developing a relationship between these factors together, or between this construct together. Conceptual framework actually it is not or the question is I should develop it or I should borrow it, I should invent it, or I should take it over from other study. The answer is both. Whether you can take it and then take permission from the original researchers that you will use it, or just to develop and to combine this concept together based on your reflective background or reflective approach you or reflective experience you are going through. So in order to develop conceptual framework, you have three sources you may use. The first source of conceptual framework is the existing theories. So existing theories here, I mean if, for example, you investigating students' disengagement in secondary school, for instance, so you have motivation theory or any kind of this theory which explain self-determination theory, for instance, which has three concepts explaining the motivation, autonomy, relatedness, and let's say these kind of variables. And then the second source of developing conceptual framework might be the previous or empirical research. So you have already known theories, self-determination theory, or you have what we say empirical research. So you are reviewing literature and then identify from this literature whether there is particular concept you have to highlight and take into consideration to study this phenomenon or not. And the third source of conceptual framework after theories and background is your reflexive background as a researcher, your belief, your experience, the situation you have went through before. All of this as well shape your personality as a researcher in a way that you can reflect and add sort of, you know, the final touch of theoretical or conceptual framework. So these main sources you have to take into consideration when you build your conceptual framework. There are some bad practices between PhD students that when he shapes conceptual framework, he identify one theory. If you identify one theory and you take it as the foundation of your research, it is not conceptual framework anymore. It can be considered a theoretical framework, and it brings us to the question is what is the difference between conceptual framework and theoretical framework. Theoretical framework when you adopt one theory only, but conceptual framework when you combine many theories together and explain why you adopt what to which situation. Theories. This theories, for example, I will take from it this concept. For example, self-determination theory, I will take autonomy as a main part, or competences or relatedness as a main part to explain this kind of connection or interaction between students to one another. And I will take other theories to explain blah blah blah. So you need to identify the meaningful connection between these theories. So once you have multiple theories, okay, you are going to develop conceptual framework, but you need as well to justify or make some kind of justification which theories to which purpose you are going to use. Um, and this is important to shape conceptual framework before you start your PhD dissertation.